Welcome back to Psycho Opinion. You're watching just one part of a breakdown and discussion of the Wrong Turn franchise. Your discretion is advised, and there are spoilers ahead. Comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and stay to the end if you would like to see a remastered, re-envisioned Wrong Turn trailer done by Psycho Opinion. Thank you.
I do love me some inbred, deformed hillbilly folk.
Yeah.
Go home!
And we're doing something a little bit different tonight. We've decided to go ahead and do a Psycho Opinion movie marathon breakdown here of the movies Wrong Turn, or the Wrong Turn movies, if you will. Jen and I took the somewhat fun and exciting and somewhat agonizing jobs of watching all these movies so that we could discuss them with you. So I'm going to go ahead and, if you haven't seen these movies, I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we are and kind of what these movies are sort of about. And then we'll go ahead and start off with the first Wrong Turn movie, titled Wrong Turn, that came out in 2003, and we'll get to that in just a second. But The Wrong Turn is an American slasher film series created by director Rob Schmidt and writers Alan B. McElroy, Adam Cooper, and Bill Coolidge, who is uncredited. The original script is similar to the X-Files episode Home. By the way, if nobody's ever seen that, that was the greatest X-Files episode ever. Go ahead and check that out. The series consists of 7 films, 5 of which share the same continuity, while the later 2 films are served as a reboot. The 2 later films are served as a reboot, but I don't feel like, I feel like it was like another part of it and then a reboot, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's what I've got here is what was written here.
Mm.
The films originally focus on various families of deformed cannibals who hunt and kill a group of people in West Virginia in horrific ways by using a mixture of traps and weaponry. The reboot film features a centuries-old cult in Virginia who respond violently to outsiders who intrude on their self-sufficient civilization. The film series became known primarily as a direct-to-video franchise, grossing 21.8 million in home sales, which that number is not huge for some of the movies that come out these days.
True.
But still, I mean, it's more than I've ever seen in one place at one time. So.
Yeah.
With that being said, as we'll get into it, these movies kind of vary in quality, in my opinion, for different reasons, and we'll talk about all of that. Also, the one thing I will agree with this is kind of in horrific ways. It talks about the killings, and I don't know about you, Jen, but I found that one of the most fun things about these movies is that there was some pretty interesting and neat original kills
Mm-hmm.
in some
I
of the
agree.
movies. So
Some of them, yeah.
I thought it had that going for it. Because I mean, really, when we watch slasher movies, that's what a lot of it's about. I mean, we watch Jason to see how he kills the next set of campers. You know, we watch Freddy to see how he kills the next group of dreamers. And this is kind of the same sort of thing here. So without getting too ahead of ourselves, we should probably start at the beginning, which is Wrong Turn 2003. Wrong Turn 2003, the original Wrong Turn, is probably in my must-have, must-see horror list. Now, I'm not saying that that goes for the entire franchise, but what I am saying is that The Wrong Turn itself, in my opinion, belongs in that series of movies that if somebody was like, hey, give me your overall, throughout your life, must-have, must-watch movies, I would put Wrong Turn up there.
Yeah. I mean, this is your genre, too. Like, this is one of your favorite genres.
I do love me some inbred, deformed hillbilly folk.
Yeah.
And
plus, this is like the first one of like the whole, and it's a very long series of movies. So of course you have to watch the first one, or you're not going to get it for all those other ones because they make so many references to it.
Yeah, of
So
course.
many, yeah, so many like similarities, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. And
weaponry for one
yeah,
thing.
and that's just it. I mean, even though it's like when you have horror films that have consecutive numbers, if you will, especially when you get to some of the ones that have like double digits, realistically, you're kind of looking at the same plot a little bit over and over.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you end up in the hood or you end up in space. That typically ends up where a lot of these
Oh,
franchises
Wrong Turn
go.
in Space.
Wrong turn in
That
space.
sounds so campy and fun. I would watch that.
I would love to know
Just to
how.
make fun of it probably.
I would love to know how they would get there, but I'm
I know
sure
exactly. I want
there
to
would
know
be a
too.
way. It would have to be like the end of the world, and they somehow managed to jump on the spaceship or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know.
Like Elon
But
Musk is about to go to the moon or Mars or whatever, probably Mars. And yeah, they like happen to like hop on or they I don't know, attack him or something. It would be funny.
yeah,
I
that would.
like that campy shit, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That would be definitely in the campy category. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of them have gone to space. A lot of them have gone to the hood, and other various strange places. We haven't seen like the leprechaun at the beach or Jason goes to Switzerland or anything yet, but there's still room for more sequels.
Yeah.
So Wrong Turn, I was just picturing Jason on like a ski slope somewhere, like trying to
Yeah.
chase down people on snowboards and stuff. Anyway, um, that's where my mind went. So back on track here, because I'm sure you're here to hear about Wrong Turn. If you clicked on this link, is that Wrong Turn was made in 2003. Um, did you want to go ahead and give a summary, Jen, or would you like me to go ahead and hit the summary on this one?
Ooh. If you want me to, I did warn you it's going to be about 3 pages of summary. Okay.
She'll read fast, folks,
I will try to read fast, yes. Okay,
but not so
so,
fast that we don't understand her.
right. Takes place in West Virginia mountains. A guy is running late for an interview in Raleigh. He is stuck in traffic, blocking his only way to his destination. There was a toxic waste spill, so he will miss his interview unless he finds a different way. He finds a map at a backwoods gas station and takes an unpaved route. He soon gets into a car accident involving a handful of attractive young adults. They have also gotten into car trouble because someone purposefully left barbed wire on the road, which shredded their tires. Barbed wire is important for the whole series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right away, one of the couples dies. The others don't know that they were killed. They find a shack and let themselves in, trying to find a phone. Place is disgusting, the shack. They see strange things like multiple sets of car keys and sunglasses, a soup with bones in it, possibly human bones, organs in the fridge, and more barbed wire. Uh, Seems like they might be setting traps to kill humans instead of animals. What I got the feel. The owners of the shack get back home and start cutting up one of their friends. They had killed her by wrapping her mouth and head with the barbed wire. The others stay hidden until the inhabitants are asleep. We get a better look at them now, the cannibals, and can see they have facial deformities. One of them wakes up as they are escaping. Now they are being hunted. They come across a large vehicle graveyard of all of their previous victims. Both guys try to distract them so the girls can get away. One guy gets shot in the leg. The other guy runs into the woods. He gets shot by several arrows before he can get to the car. The other three drive off. Soon they come to a tree blocking the road and they get stuck in the mud. They must continue on foot. After almost getting injured by a bear trap, they find a watchtower. Using some first aid, Eliza cleans and wraps his wound from the gunshot. They find a radio, but in the middle of calling for help, the cannibals find them. They set fire to the watchtower. Without many options, they decide to jump into the trees. This is one of my most memorable scenes.
Yeah, the tree scene was cool.
Yes. Now they are tightrope walking on the branches, basically, trying not to get hit by arrows. The other girl gets chopped in the face by an axe. This time, Eliza causes the distraction so they can attack the hunters. They find a cave to rest in. We find out that Eliza's boyfriend broke up with her, and the reason they all went out on their road trip was because they were trying to cheer her up. When they wake up, they walk to a road and come across the sheriff, but he immediately gets an arrow to the face. Eliza is captured. Chris grabs on the undercarriage of the car so they don't see him. They're all back at the cannibal shack. Chris drives the car into the shack and sets it all on fire. They both fight for survival against the cannibals in the burning shack. There is a big explosion after they get out. They make it to the gas station from earlier. Same gas station from earlier. Chris steals the map. The old guy with no teeth is shocked that they are still alive. Right after the credits begin, we see an officer looking through the remains of the shack, and he gets chopped by a surviving cannibal.
There it is.
That's a lot.
There it is. That
Yeah.
is what the movie is all about.
Yeah, practically scene by scene. You're welcome. You don't even have to watch the movie.
Well, I would assume that most people that would probably want to hear this discussion have probably seen the movie.
Yeah.
If not, then, I mean, even though you just heard the description, I mean, it's definitely worth the watch. I mean, even though Jen is a very eloquent speaker and writer, I would say that the movie is still definitely worth a look at. But so some of the notes that I have on this was one of the interesting things, and I kind of took this from some articles. I was reading some of this information here. Wrong Turn not only featured cast members that were on the verge of a big break or were already known to have a fan following, such as Eliza Dushku and
Yeah.
Desmond Harrington, but McElroy managed to do something with his characters that many slasher movies either can't or don't. While they were all beautiful 20-somethings lost in the woods and eventually caught in a fight for survival, they were also well-rounded, three-dimensional characters who had genuine chemistry with one another. In particular, the relationship between Carly and Scott, who was played by Jeremy Sisto, a newly engaged couple, turned heartbreaking in a long sequence where Scott started to run towards his three friends, including his fiancée, in a truck. He was ultimately killed by a series of arrows which hit him one at a time in the back until he dropped and revealed to the other survivors that he wasn't going to make it. And I agree with that, and that's important because that's definitely the first film here. The first film, I think that the acting was kind of on point. I think that they definitely had some good stars for the first one, or even some rising stars. And I think that that really showed. And I do agree that there's a lot more chemistry between the characters than you do see in a lot of the other horror movies. I know that, you watch a lot of the Friday 13th, things like that. There's always like the couple that are like trying to, have sex at the campsite or whatever. And it just
Yeah,
seems like two
classic.
random people. There's not necessarily as much chemistry as what I'd call it, maybe, or a vibe between the people. But in Wrong Turn, I feel like Jeremy Sisto and Carly, his fiance, I think that they really did have kind of a great chemistry. And I also think Eliza Dushku and Desmond Harrington did as well. I mean, it was more believable, I think, than a lot of horror movies of the same caliber.
Yeah, I would agree with the chemistry, and I definitely agree that the acting was pretty good in this one. Yeah, agreed on that.
Agreed.
On that,
Agreed.
yeah. We might differ on some other things, I think, maybe, but I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Did you watch this movie for the first time now? Or have you seen
Um,
this one when it came out?
I had seen this one when it came out, but it was so long ago that I honestly didn't remember anything. The only thing I remembered was that it had Eliza, who I call Eliza Dushkanu,
Douche
even though I know that's not how you say her name.
I'm not even sure if
Um,
I'm saying it right because Dushku
no,
doesn't
no,
sound right, but Dushku,
you are.
I'm not sure.
No, I think you are saying it correctly. I just I like her I like her as an actress too. I just think she's very attractive. But
Agreed.
yeah, but I just kind of I guess lightly poked fun at her last name and not really knowing how to say it back in the day. So back in the day, douche canoe was a thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I
That
mean,
was a saying.
a lot of these actors make up their names, and quite frankly, I don't think I'd want my name to have anything to do with douches.
Yeah,
I feel like you're already opening yourself up for stuff like douche canoe.
yeah,
But that's just me. I'd probably have a cool acting name if I was an actor. You know,
yeah.
um,
It's probably her real name.
it might be. I mean, I doubt. Why would you make that up?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So for me, some of my notes on this were that I personally feel like this is the most solid deformed freak attack slasher horror since The Hills Have Eyes. I thought the acting was great, like I said. Solid performances by all of the folks in there, especially Jeremy Sisto. I've always kind of liked him. He's got a
Yeah,
really good presence to me.
yeah. He was
I
in
mean, he,
Clueless.
yeah, even in Clueless, he wasn't bad. I mean, honestly,
He
I
played
thought he was
the
pretty
role
good.
well, I thought.
Yeah, he's kind of a solid. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a great actor, but he's definitely a solid choice for this kind of film.
I just remembered he's also in another horror movie called May.
Yeah,
You're not going to touch my face?
Fine, I'll touch your face.
Yep.
I
I
know
forgot
that
about that.
May.
That used to be one of my favorite movies
She's
back
like
in the day.
obsessed with his hands and
Yes,
everything.
she is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
eventually she obtains those hands.
She gets the hands.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rub them all over. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So I put down here that to me it's like a mix of The Hills Have Eyes, Deliverance, and Texas Chainsaw. The kills are phenomenal, and throughout the series are pretty original. And we'll talk about that more throughout the series. But starting here, I think that a lot of them were pretty original. Douche 2 does mostly all her own stunts, and the cast got covered in poison ivy during the shoot. That was an interesting little tidbit I came across.
I mean, they
That
are in the
must have
woods
been
a lot.
awful. That would have been awful, though.
Yeah.
The questions I'd have if I wanted to be picky about this or these movies is how hard is it to lose someone in the woods? There are a few opportunities where the freaks didn't know where the protagonists were, but continually found them regardless.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily want to be in one of these situations, but I'm just kind of like, if they're not paying attention and you literally run, I don't know, like 1,000 yards that way and then 1,000 yards that way and then like 1,000 yards that way. I mean, how would they find you? Like, those are some pretty
Right.
thick woods. And I want to say that this was actually filmed in North Carolina.
And that's actually a question that I had for you because I was wondering if you knew that because I know he's late for his interview in Raleigh. The only
Yeah.
Raleigh I know of is North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on his way to
So,
North Carolina. It says that it's in West Virginia, but I'm
mhm.
pretty sure it's actually filmed in North Carolina, in the
Ah.
mountains in North Carolina, if I remember correctly. So, um, where are you at? I want some of your notes because I'm about out of my notes. I kind of really just feel like it was a solid movie. It reminded me a lot of The Hills Have Eyes, but in the mountains instead of the desert.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I mean, it's definitely to me one of those movies that I put in my movies to watch horror list.
Yeah. Well, I guess overall I kind of thought it was a little bit on the generic side. Not one of my favorites. But still, I mean, it is solid. I do agree with you with that. Because I do think it is well acted. Mostly, it has a good soundtrack. It has some good, has like a nostalgia factor. Because that was brand new at the time in 2003. And it does have some kind of feel that's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes. But other than that, we hadn't really like seen a whole lot of cannibal movies, or at least I hadn't back then.
With some Deliverance in there, of course.
Yeah, I have heard some reviewer a while back say something about that. Deliverance is a movie I don't remember super well, other than a couple of quotes, which were very quotable at the time. But I haven't seen that one in years, so I don't really recall that one as well.
I don't
But
know if I don't know if I should be ashamed admitting this or not, but I actually love
yeah,
Deliverance.
you what?
I love Deliverance. I
You love
actually really enjoy
Deliverance?
that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great movie. It had like an all-star cast. I mean,
Hmm.
back in the day, uh, Burt Reynolds, and what's his name there? Angelina Jolie's dad,
Oh yeah,
uh,
John Voight.
John Boyd,
Yeah.
and Ned Beatty. It was good in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I should rewatch
Yeah, of course
because I
there's
barely remember it.
of course there's that one scene that everybody that's seen it knows.
Uh-huh. That's
Um,
pretty much the only part I remember, that and the quotes.
well, you can't forget that.
Yeah.
What you want to do with it?
He got a little pretty mouth, ain't he?
That's the truth.
You're going to do some praying for me, boy. And you better pray good. Here, hold that on.
Oh! You better run, you son of a bitch!
Um.
So
Oh, sorry, not quite.
I wanted to ask you though,
Oh.
like,
Oh. Okay.
could you explain generic a little bit though? I'm just curious because I didn't find that to be
Well.
a word that I would use to describe this movie.
Well, I think part of it has to do with what I was about to talk about with the characterization. I didn't feel like the characterization was really that deep. Um, I kind of cared about some of the characters, but not really that much about others. And even the ones that I did care about, I really didn't care about that much because I didn't really know them that well as a person. I think some other movies do it better as far as like making you feel for those characters and really care whether they live or die. I
Okay.
did kind of get that with the two main characters, um,
Okay.
but not as much as I would have liked. I just felt like
Okay.
the characterization was a little bit of an afterthought. Like when I
I think
say it wasn't deep enough, I mean like so her whole thing is that she's upset because her friends uh they were trying to cheer her up, and so she's
Yeah.
sad because they're all dead because of her. Basically, I get that because that's like a guilt kind of thing too.
Yeah, that'd be a bummer.
But yeah, it definitely would be hard. uh but I don't know, I just didn't find it as deep as it could have been.
Well, yeah,
And
I would definitely agree with that. And I think that while you were talking, I kind of got an idea of what you might mean. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but kind of an example I'm thinking about is a sort of like, okay, well, let's explore that a little bit. Maybe they rushed in a little bit with this movie because it does kind of start off
mhm,
the guy's driving, he hits the car, instantly they're kind of in a situation.
right.
Whereas I think movies like let's take The Hills Have Eyes for example, because that's one that we've already kind of brought up in comparison here.
Yeah.
With that movie, you get to see the family traveling. You get to see the
Yes.
family kind of the family dynamic. You kind of get to see a better understanding of who's who and how they interact. And
Definitely.
so maybe that's kind of where you're coming from on that. Possibly is that it was sort
It
of
is.
like we were just thrown right in. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It wasn't like we had time to see them when things were good or when
Right.
things were all right. It was kind of like boom, there's a car accident. Now we got to figure shit out.
Yep.
So I think that might be, and with you saying it like that, I think I do understand where you're coming from on that. I do get that. I mean, well, I did think the acting was good, and I thought there was good chemistry between the characters. I do
Yeah.
agree with you that there wasn't as much development.
Yes. Exactly that.
That's probably why. I mean, had they started the movie with really getting into the characters and more of who they are before the accident and what happened, we'd probably have a better understanding of their motives and who they were.
Yeah. I think it like focused a little bit more on like the action, and the stunts and the killing, which I mean, it's still an enjoyable movie though. It's still like fun to watch. It's entertaining.
Well,
Um,
while I agree with you that the development on a movie like The Hills Have Eyes is more, I also would say that this movie had more character development. I felt more for the characters than I do in, say, some of the Friday the 13th.
hmm
You know, where it's just like, oh, stupid kids out camping and we don't know anything about them besides they're stupid kids that likes to smoke weed and have sex.
Yeah.
And then Jason kills them. I mean, I think we got more out of Wrong Turn than we do out of some of those.
Some of those, yes. I agree. I feel like in a lot of these horror movies, there's a lot of the kind of throwaway characters.
Oh,
If
yeah.
that's a wrong term, I don't know. Um,
Those
but
characters are just there for good deaths, man. I mean,
exactly.
really, that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. You're just like, how can I
Um,
kill this guy in an awesome way?
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
they at least go through and, try to make you feel things for at least a couple of characters, then it's usually a pretty good movie, in my opinion. Um,
I felt the
just
most
depending
for.
on if they do it well.
I don't know if it's because I liked him the most as an actor, but I think I felt the most for Jeremy Sisto when he died.
Yeah,
I think out of all the characters I felt for him the most, I was like, oh no, like I really liked him.
because you've seen some other things he's done, maybe, and
Probably, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it might be more like the character development was more for me because it was like an actor development thing, maybe.
hmm
I mean, I could see me being more invested in him as an actor than the others,
yeah,
because I knew him better, and I always thought he was pretty decent. So,
I think I probably felt a little bit more for Eliza, because, well, I mean, I'm a girl. Also,
little girl card.
yeah. Also, I kind of liked, well, she's always like this kind of character in pretty much all the movies I've ever seen her in, where she's like, kind of like the tough, kind of edgy girl, and you kind of like feel for her because tough, edgy girls sometimes are more sensitive than they seem, and they're hiding their emotions, and I don't know. Maybe I'm making stuff up for her character. I don't
No,
know.
she was a tough, edgy girl, and
Yeah.
and the cool thing about her being a tough, edgy girl is that I don't feel like they had to overdo it because a lot of times they always make the tough, edgy girl. It's almost like they make her a caricature of herself, you know. Because a lot of times they have to make the tough, edgy girl tough and edgy, you know, like
Yeah.
she's got to be, I don't know, like a goth chick or something, or
Mm,
some kind of, I get what you're saying, and I feel like that. I think that she was tough and edgy without being overly portrayed as tough and edgy on her
yes.
appearance,
Agreed.
which was nice because she
Yeah.
was just, she's a pretty girl, but she was tough, and yeah, I mean,
I like that.
I like that. So I'm definitely in agreement with that. A funny or interesting quote that I had here was to go back to them going in the house. Scott says, "Okay, who lives here?" And Carly says, "I don't know, but can you help me find the bathroom?" Then Scott says, "Baby, I think this is the bathroom."
Yeah.
And that was kind of a fun little quote, being that that place must have stank.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just talking about like basically body parts and stuff and tools they use to kill people all over the place. Human soup.
Yep.
Just disgustingness. Absolute disgustingness.
I do appreciate that they used bones in their soup because that is the best soup when you have bones in it.
Yeah, I
Best
mean,
flavor.
that was pro right there. That is years of
Yeah. Culinary
human
expertise.
recipes. Yeah, I mean, that was probably great deformed grandma's soup recipe right there.
Yeah.
And
Runs in their family.
yeah, it runs in the family. And it's important to mention once more that there was the toothless old man at the gas station that tried. Or no, he didn't in this one. He didn't try to get Desmond to go another way, but he was kind of just that typical character. But he is important later on.
Hmm.
So it's just important to kind of mention that guy again. But I'm going to tell you in this movie, this wrong turn, it seems like that guy is absolutely unimportant. They literally don't make a big deal out of him at all.
Yeah.
But as we continue and as you watch part 2 of this, or continue with this, however I edit it, he becomes more important later.
Oh, was he in part 2? I mean,
He's
the second
important.
wrong turn?
Yeah, he's important.
I mean, he's important. I just don't remember him in the second one.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of
Spoiler.
ourselves. So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely spoiling, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add on Wrong Turn 1? Or the original Wrong Turn or Wrong Turn 2003, however you'd like to put it?
I don't have too many personal notes on how I felt about it. I don't have too much more. The cannibal makeup is hard to see in such dark lighting, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, because in like some of the later ones, it doesn't look that great to me. Looks okay, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look that great, and it might be because of the lighting in the other ones versus this one, which is very dark.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's a quality issue, but I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah. And some of the camera shots were noteworthy. The tension was good. I felt that the tension was good in this one. Most noteworthy for me anyway was the scene where they're jumping from the watchtower into the forest of trees. That just seemed like really brutal. Like I would hate to have to make that decision. It's like on fire, this watchtower, and and it's either that or you get killed by the cannibals because they're after you too. And it's like, yeah, let's jump. He says jump, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do this. And that was a little bit tough to watch. I could not believe that they weren't more injured than they were from jumping into the trees. But I guess it's a movie. You got to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah. Well, it's just like movies. Somebody will like break their leg and then they're running like half an hour later, like we forgot that they broke their leg.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of thing sometimes too. So I mean, it is a movie, so that probably would have hurt like hell jumping into some trees.
It hurt me
But
just watching it.
Yeah, you would have been like scraped. Your face would probably be scraped up.
Yeah.
All of you would just be like scraped up. Probably a lot of pine sap all over you. That would really annoy the crap out of me. But I agree with you because it's like that's what we do in a lot of these movies. We put ourselves in that position of like, what if I was there, or what if? And yeah, I mean, they really didn't have any other options at that point, and it's kind of it would be tough. But it's I get what you're saying. I think the tension was really good. It was one of those movies where you're like, man, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's gonna happen? How is this gonna end?
Yeah, and
Anyway.
it definitely has that in its favor.
Yeah. So overall, solid movie in my opinion. And by the end of this, I did want to rank these in order, and I will give you that at the end when we get there. So make sure you keep watching these and or watch this whole thing. I think I'm going to put out a long version, and I'm going to probably also break it up. So if you want to watch this in parts, you can. But stay tuned for Wrong Turn 2, called Dead End from 2007. And if you watch all of these in a row, we're going to have some special things at the end, some special kind of features to talk about through all the movies. And we are also going to rank these in order. So we will see you then.